The longest federal government shutdown in history took place on Donald Trump's watch. Republicans try to blame Democrats, but the polls clearly show the American public is with Democrats, saying it was the fault of the Republicans. Why did Democrats hold out? They said to demand the Affordable Care Act subsidies continue. Well, guess who all of a sudden realizes that's a good idea? Yeah, the twice impeached, criminally convicted con man, felon-in-chief Donald Trump. Go to my iPad, Anthony. Look at this here. White House circulates a plan to expand Obamacare subsidies as Trump played his health care fix. Isn't that interesting? Quote, this is Associated Press lead. The White House is circulating a proposal that would extend subsidies to help consumers pay for coverage on the Affordable Care Act for 2 more years, as millions of Americans face spiking health care costs when the current tax credits are set to expire at the end of the year. Joining us right now is Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Congresswoman, glad to have you back on the show. This is what we call Democrats were right. Capitulation. Democrats made the argument how important these health care subsidies were for health care of Americans. Republicans, they decimated this in that big ugly bill. Y'all held out, forced a hand, and lo and behold, look who all of a sudden wants to extend them now for 2 years.
Roland, we have been pushing the Republicans all year long, including in months of debate on the big ugly law. And you remember, the argument that they've been making about the expiration of the tax credit extensions has been that we scheduled them to expire. Well, guess what? In 2017, Donald Trump and the Republicans, they scheduled those tax breaks for billionaires, millionaires, and wealthy corporations to expire in 2025. And it was so damn important to them that they called us back to Washington July 4th and made sure that in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., we were voting to extend permanently those tax breaks. We were pushing as Democrats to get them to extend the ACA tax credit enhancements as well, and of course they said no. And then we were relentless throughout the fall, through the shutdown, because we know that people are going to be forced to go without, and that you're going to have millions of people who will not be able to afford their health care, and here they come to our local emergency rooms. And the Republicans did that. They're blinking, but Donald Trump withdrew that plan today because Mike Johnson, the speaker, who kept us out of session and kept Republicans on a taxpayer-paid vacation for 5 weeks, he said to the White House that they're not interested in extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Well, okay, I guess what they say is FAFO, because I know millions of people. I have 203,000 people in my district who are facing explosive increases, and they're going to pay at the ballot box. They will remember if we don't come together and they don't join us.
Well, here's what's amazing. I'm sitting here looking at this AP story, and it says that eligibility for the Obamacare subsidies, which were put in place during the COVID-19 pandemic, will be capped at 700% of the federal poverty level, according to 2 people with knowledge of the proposal. Well, guess what? The previous cap was 400%. So now they're increasing the cap. The proposal also will require low-income folks to pay some sort of premium. It says one option is a requirement that everyone pay 2% of their income, or at least $5 per month for lower-tier plans. Again, here's what's interesting. There were so many people, individuals, political folks, radio folks. There were other political strategists and others who were saying, Democrats, you're crazy. You're outside of your mind. What are you doing? You're going to lose this battle. You're going to lose this fight. And now all of a sudden, you're good, Congresswoman. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Now all of a sudden, these folks are now realizing that, yeah, Democrats were right. Health care is an important fundamental issue in American life. And now this is Trump giving in.
100%, Roland. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. I know that firsthand as a breast cancer survivor. One day I was the picture of health. The next day, after finding a lump, doing a routine self-exam after my first mammogram, within a couple of months, I was a breast cancer patient. And so you just never know. And if you're forced into a situation like getting diagnosed suddenly with a serious illness and you don't have health care coverage, then you have to wait till you are so sick that you use the emergency room as your primary and most expensive access point, you're diagnosed at later stages with more complex healthcare needs and more expensive healthcare needs. And that is a life that is absolutely unacceptable for us to force people into. It's completely unnecessary. And, I don't know the details of what Trump's plan would be, but the bottom line is that they should come to the table, negotiate with Democrats, and make sure that we can hammer out a way to extend these tax credits, because we can't let people, like one of my constituents who reached out to us the other day and said that they were going for their premiums would go from $386 a month to $1,500 a month unless those tax extensions are extended.
Well,
we've got to do that.
Right. And so, and now I'm seeing that Speaker Mike Johnson is telling Trump, hey, look, our House GOP, they ain't down with this. Okay, guess what? This now then puts Trump in a battle with his own Republicans, and let's see who wins this battle. And if I'm Democrats, I'm still hammering these folks every single day. Right. Listen, I think you were part of, there was I believe you were there. It was a healthcare discussion that was in New Orleans. It was Congressman Troy Carter.
Yes.
And so, listen, This is what I said then, and I still believe it. I said, hey, don't have 5 members of Congress in New Orleans. I said, send one Democrat to every district office of Mike Johnson, say, this is how many people in this district are going to lose health care because of this. To me, this is where they should be hammering. And guess what? If the Republicans do buckle, this is where Democrats should be running ads immediately saying, we made this happen, not Trump trying to take credit if this deal goes through.
Roland, we have been relentlessly traveling the country, doing town hall meetings in Republican districts where they refuse to have them. I'm a co-chair of the Steering and Policy Committee. Hakeem Jeffries has sent us all over the country to make sure that we can talk to folks and hear from them directly about what it would mean if they lost the tax credits, but also what having health care under the Affordable Care Act meant. They're no longer dropped or denied coverage because of pre-existing conditions. They can, through the Affordable Care Act, you can keep your kids on your insurance as parents until they're 26 years old. People forget about the provisions that apply to everybody. And in addition to that, making sure that we keep healthcare premiums affordable is, along with the whole issue of affordability in general. Donald Trump and the Republicans have not put a single bill on the floor of the Congress to lower people's costs, to make groceries more affordable. Energy costs are still skyrocketing. You name it, and across the board, particularly because of Trump's ridiculous tariffs, everything is more expensive. And the Republicans have basically told Americans, you can just go eat cake. We don't really care about your day-to-day living expenses. And Democrats do, and we're going to continue to press on that.
Got to get your thoughts on this here. Anthony, go to my iPad. How our Republicans have quietly put this guy as the number 2 at the Centers for Disease Control. He doesn't believe in vaccines. He doesn't believe in the Affordable Care Act. How in the hell is this person in the number 2 at the CDC? This shows you how crazy it is to put that nutcase with a worm in his brain, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., over the Department of Health and Human Services.
Nothing surprises me with the MAGA extremist movement when it comes to healthcare, Roland. In my state, Ron DeSantis, our governor, and Joseph Ladapo, his quack Surgeon General, have actually repealed the requirements for some vaccines and are going to push to repeal the requirements for kids in school for all vaccines, including mumps, measles, and rubella, and tetanus, and other diseases that have been eradicated nearly completely because of the vaccine policies. These people are kooks, and they don't believe in science, and they don't care about the impact when it comes to public health. We saw that during COVID, about their decisions on how they affect other people. People are going to get, I had an outbreak in my hometown in an elementary school of measles last year that our Surgeon General said through the Department of Public Health, they didn't have to keep their kids home. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, the quackery that they follow and how it impacts millions of people. We're going to see disease surge as a result of these irresponsible policies, and we have to fight back, and we have to do it at the ballot box next year.
Last question for you. On Monday, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, and I did a story about Dems building up a digital army. Now I took issue with that because they basically left out anybody who's black or Latino. They got people in their story who got smaller shows than we have here. Now, here's what reason I think this is important. I was talking to a media buyer, and he said that there were individuals last year who told him, man, don't come to me with this nonsense with podcasts. And Democratic strategists just refuse to do anything when it comes to digital media. And we saw what happened, getting their butts kicked. I've said this specifically to Leader Jeffries. I've said it to Schumer as well. And I would hope folks like you, former head of the DNC, are telling the DNC, the DCCC, the Democratic Governors Association, all these people, you've got to be idiots if you're going to keep making these, and I call them white Democratic strategists because ain't that many black people there, millionaires who keep wanting to dump money on television. If Democrats are going to win the House or the Senate next year, it is going to go where the people are. What are you saying to these donors and these strategists, how they've got to stop thinking putting money on television is going to somehow lead you to victory? You got to put money on the ground. You got to put money in digital operations. What are you saying to them?
Well, the same thing that I said to you when we spoke all those years ago when you were in my office when I chaired the DNC, that we absolutely have to up our game, not just on social media, but making sure that we focus on a commitment to diversity in contracting, diversity in who it is around the table, and diversity in terms of how we are reaching out to audiences, whether they're black, Hispanic, or Asian, or Native American. It is absolutely critical that we are running the table when it comes to that kind of outreach. And, you know, to know better is to do better. I can tell you that we are upping our game. We made a really serious commitment, particularly as House Democrats, at making sure that we have influencers and that we have, each time we are doing media outreach, we have a social media row. We have influencers come in. We're trying to get on as many intricate small platforms as possible. And I have to tell you that you committed and told me all those years ago that you were going to make sure that there was a black network. And here we are. And it's just awesome to be able to join you again. All
right, Congressman David Wasserman Schultz. We appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the family and food.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Likewise.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.